Hey guys, my name is Taylor Franta from Taylor Franta Photography, and today I'm going to be showing you my favorite sharpening technique. I've used plenty of techniques over the years, ranging from a simple high-pass filter to the unsharp mask to the sharpening within Camera Raw and in Lightroom, as well as some plugins. And the technique I'm going to show you has been by far the most successful for me. So without further ado, I'm going to jump directly into Photoshop, and we're going to work with this picture that I took in the Maroon Bells in Colorado. Now, the sharpening technique is going to utilize the high-pass filter, but don't run off yet. I promise you there is more to it than that. So if you don't know what a high-pass filter is, I'll show you that right now. You take your background layer and duplicate it, and then go up to Filter, Other, and High Pass. Now, when it asks you for a radius, most of the time you'll want to leave that between 2 and 3. You can venture outside of that if you want to experiment a little bit, but 90% of the time I'm between 2 and 3 on here. So I'm just going to leave it at 2.5 for now. And when you zoom in a little bit, you'll see it's almost creating an outline of the image. So what we do here is change it to overlay, and you'll see it does a lot of sharpening on the mountain here. Now I actually take it a step further and I use the vivid light blend mode. Most people seem to use overlay, but vivid light is even more dramatic. You'll see when I change it here, it pops even more. Here's overlay versus vivid light. So I like vivid light, it's even more dramatic. However, with the high pass filter, it all looks great there, but it does have a few unwanted effects. We're going to scroll up into the top corner where there's the most noise in this picture currently. I haven't applied any noise reduction yet, but you'll see up here when I turn the filter off that it really is adding a lot of noise, especially up in the corner here, and that's not something that we want. We don't want to induce more noise in this picture. So it looks great on the mountain, but it looks terrible up in the corner. So what do? Well, it's actually as simple as applying a noise reduction to this high pass layer. So I'm going to actually use Topaz Labs and Topaz Denoise, and I apply it pretty aggressively. I'm going to do 20%, but when you scroll up to the top here in my picture, you'll see that here it is without this noise reduction applied, and here it is with the noise reduction applied. You'll see it's getting rid of all that grain. So when you do that, and then you keep that blend mode on either overlay or vivid light, you're not going to be adding any of that grain into the image, but you'll still see that it will sharpen here in the mountain. Now you don't have to use Topaz Labs noise reduction. That's just the one that I've come to use the most often. You can use the noise reduction built into Camera Raw or in Lightroom. Those work fantastic as well. I would avoid the noise reduction program within Photoshop though. It's not very powerful. But again, we'll zoom in on the mountains here, and you'll see when I turn this layer off and then on, it's definitely adding a ton of sharpening. Yet we scroll up to the top here where we were before, and you'll see in the trees down here that we're still going to be adding some sharpening, but there won't be any noise added up into the sky. So here's the layer off and on. You'll see a little bit in the trees, but nothing's being added into the sky. So this noise reduction applied to the high pass layer is great in that it really helps you sharpen the things that are already detailed and bring out even more detail while avoiding those smoother areas that you don't want to mess with. So from here you can do a few things. You can play around a little bit with that radius. You can also add a mask to the layer, the high pass layer, and even isolate further the things you want to sharpen or, you know, just leave alone. And then you can adjust the opacity as well. I usually don't keep that quite at 100. It's a little bit too dramatic. I'll usually bump that down between 40 and 60% on the layer, but it allows you to experiment a little bit and play around with this. The one thing I do recommend though is applying a pretty intensive noise reduction to the high pass layer. The stronger it is, the more grain you're going to get rid of, and the more isolated that sharpening is going to be. So I hope you guys enjoyed this technique. Please share in the comments below if you found this useful. And if you have any other sharpening techniques that you guys use, please share that, and I'd love to try those out. Anyway, guys, stay tuned and visit my page for more pictures, and I'll be posting more videos here periodically. Thanks.